race very early stages. The initial speed on the start is in the middle between Michigan and Chicago. Michigan in their high sequence, 3 and 4 seats up very effectively. Chicago now staying long and moving as well. Those two crews moving up a little bit. Washington, 2 seats behind Chicago, and the crews are now settling down into their base stages, although Chicago's staying up high and taking another seat or so back from Michigan. So as we get through a very nice starting sequence from all the boats, there is actually a little separation already happening. We have Michigan and Chicago in the middle leading. Chicago up a little bit higher than Michigan. Chicago racing at 37.5 here, and Michigan is at a more leisurely 35.5. But those two boats are holding speed with each other. We have Michigan State and Wash U in a nice tight race for third. I would give the advantage to Michigan State. The coxswain sitting up in the bow coxswain boat to be able to look over and see what's happening. The Wash U coxswain managing to do that while fully extended into their boat. Behind that, we have another group of Rhode Island and Pittsburgh, although there's overlap from third to sixth, and the real race out in front is Virginia and Chicago. Chicago's rating, very well handled, 37. It's moving on Michigan a little bit, who is about 36. Michigan's still up by a few seats, but Chicago putting on a nice big charge here. And that's driving those two crews away from the rest of the race, where we have Michigan State and Wash U essentially even in lanes 2 and 6, and they're 2 or 3 seats up on Rhode Island, who is in turn another seat or so up on Pittsburgh. That push from Chicago worked for a little bit, but they've now settled back into about the same rating as Michigan at about 34.5 for Chicago, 36 now for Michigan, and Michigan is taking seats back. The two-man is sitting on Chicago's bow ball. Very long, smooth, rhythmic rowing. Great rowing out of Chicago too. They're putting a little push back in. They're doing it by popping rating. Michigan is doing it by trying to keep the same rating and drive a little further. Those two are now a good length of open above as we come through the 1,000 in 3:20 or so above the rest of the race. We have Wash U and Michigan State within a seat of each other. The coxswain looking at each other quite a lot. The Wash U coxswain is holding on alternately to his hat and then his megaphone, and in order to see what he's doing, he's steering with one hand. It's interesting. That allows her, to look over and see what's going on in the Michigan State boat. It is now 2 to 3 seats up on them. We have Rhode Island still hanging with their bow into Wash U's turn. Wash U's rowing is starting to fall apart just a little bit in the back half of their bucket, but they're managing to hold off the hard charge coming out of Rhode Island. Michigan State sitting in bronze medal position, maybe 3 seats up on Wash U. In the lead race, Michigan is now sitting about astern on Chicago, swinging very nicely both boats. Michigan just seems to have a little bit more push in their base, and that's what's working for them. So as we come into 500 meters to go, Michigan just under 5 minutes, and about 3 or 4 seconds up on the crew from And as we come in here, it's now WashU a seat up on Michigan State. That's going to be a great race as we turn it over to you to the final. Oh, and lane 5 is charging. Lane 5 Rhode Island is charging in there also. You're going to have a 3-boat race for that bronze medal depending on where the sprint is. So get yourself over to watch it. Michigan in front, Chicago second, and then a great race for bronze going on between WashU, Rhode Island, and Michigan State.
We approach the final 200 meters. It's still the Michigan Wolverines with the lead from the Chicago Maroon, while the battle for third is still wide open between WashU, Rhode Island, and Michigan State Spartans. The rates creep up. So does the gap that Michigan has over Chicago as they separate themselves from the rest of the pack. Battle for third shaping up here as Michigan will cross the line first, followed by Chicago Maroon. Third place, we have a 3-way battle going on between Rhode Island, WashU, and the Michigan State Spartans. As we come to the line, it looks like WashU has about a 1-seat advantage, and they hold on to that one.